Okay, so we have seen future tenses in 4 aspects, present tenses in 4 aspects, past tenses in 4 aspects. Today we're looking at infinitives and, why not, 2 plus infinitives in 4 aspects. And of course, infinitives and 2 plus infinitives are identical, except 2 plus infinitives have a 2 before the rest of it. And so that's why I've done them together, because I know that they look the same, you know, exactly the same. It's just that this one's got a 2 here as well. And I want you to see that we use, or I want you to remember that we use infinitives, bare infinitives without 2, after modal verbs. Yeah, must, can, could, will, would. Future tenses actually look exactly the same as infinitives. And that's because will is a modal verb. And so you get modal verb plus infinitive, or, you know, you get will drive, simple, will be driving, future continuous, will have driven, future perfect, will have been driving, future perfect continuous. Well, with the infinitives, you get the same. You just get a modal verb and then an infinitive, must drive, or must be driving, or must have driven, or must have been driving. And that's for the simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. So you can see they look exactly the same as the will forms, as the future forms that we studied in the previous class. And that's why I've done them in this order, because I think it's logical that now you study modal verb and different aspects, and that's because will is a modal verb. And so you have already studied this, what we're going to do right now, but you studied it with will, with the modal verb will. Now we're going to look at some other modal verbs like must, should, and I must admit there are more, but I'm just going to look at must and should in this class to look at infinitives. And then I'm going to move on to seem, which takes 2 plus infinitive in 4 different aspects, and also the passive forms, which you might remember when you say he is said, he is thought, he is believed, he is known. You very often get these simple continuous perfect and perfect continuous with the 2 plus infinitive that comes afterwards. So you will see what I am talking about in a moment. And of course, we'll look at some common mistakes as well. But let me start by saying that you get the infinitives in 4 different aspects after modal verbs, and when you do this, usually it's speculation or deduction. You are speculating about the present if it's in simple. Yeah, if it's modal verb simple, it's usually about the present. You know, it's not with will because that's future. But if you say he must he must drive, he owns a car, well, then you are talking about the present. You mean he must drive right now in the present. Whereas if you say he must have driven, then you are talking about the past. You know, you're saying he must have driven here.